morning, all. How are you? I'm sure it's a beautiful Saturday wherever you are. It sure is here. So, welcome again to this third part of the Jamaica Women of Florida Conference. And today we're going to talk about resetting. So many of us have experienced so many different things in our lives. And as we went through the past weeks, some of you would have been with us as we spoke about how to reclaiming our lives, going back to basics, basically, and also rebalance. Think about the things that are changing in our lives and how we have to rebalance. Rebalance our finances, rebalance how we look at things, our diet, and our health, our exercise. We need to do more of that to keep healthy. So today, having done all that, we're going to be looking at reset. What do we need to do to reset? Not just our personal lives, but our businesses, our families, and everything that is important to us. So today, we have a dynamic set of women who are actually, coincidentally, they're all coming out of Jamaica. Before we get to that, again, welcome. Those of you online, please, we're going to be welcoming you to use the chat amongst yourselves, but also post questions, because we want the questions once the panelists, the discussion has started. We want you to post questions, which will be asked at the end, and there's a prize. Yes, those of you who have been on before know that we have some prizes for the questions that come with the most priority or have most people voting on it in the poll. So please be engaged, be involved. Let us hear from you. All right, and we're going to get started. For those of you who don't know, I'm Dr. Sue, and I'll be your host for today. You can read up on my bio, okay? Visit the Jamaica Women of Florida website. It has all the information. So today I'm basically doing the hosting. And to start us off, based on what we're going to be talking about, I had written a poem at the beginning of this whole COVID pandemic, and I thought I would read a bit of an excerpt from one of the pieces that I wrote to get started. So it says, this pandemic, deadly as it may be, has had a positive effect on society. Some areas that show great change are relationships, social connections, technology, spectrum, and the range. The world's been taught to be polite without being tactile. Gestures of goodwill has taken on a much different profile. Social distancing, which isn't foreign to some, has brought appreciation for having space to go and come. Communication, especially listening, has been much improved. Conference calls and virtual meetings have become the groove. A better understanding of others' roles have been born, while new cultures and structures are being formed. It's a new era. Things will never be the same. COVID-19 is letting us know it came. We've lost loved ones at a speed that wasn't dope. But through it all, we must cling to hope. Hope of a better tomorrow. A life that is hip, humble, intentional, prepared, and equipped. A life to live a life of service and care in the knowledge that God is near. Viewers, God is near. And as we get into this conference, we just invite his presence with us today, and we just ask him to just continue to bless, preserve, and to prosper us all, and to bless these women of the Jamaica Women of Florida and all their service and efforts. So again, good morning. Without any ado, I am going to start introducing you to our panelists. Again, get involved with the chat, post your questions once they've started discussing and talking about who they are and what they have to offer, and we will get into it. Thanks to our sponsors and our vendors, and as we go into the conference, we will speak more to who those are. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome this morning Ms. Denique Ferguson. Denique is a human-computer interaction designer. Yes, she has a master's in human-computer interaction. Oh, Denique, I can't even say it. So you're going to have to talk to the people. You're going to have to talk to the people about what it is and what you do. She's a teacher and a researcher, and tell you something about her. She claims to be a recovering know-it-all.
Oh.
Knows it all. So throw it at her. Ladies and gentlemen, Denique Ferguson. Welcome, Denique.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Hello, everyone.
Yes. Next, we have Nicole McLaren Campbell, who by all talk is, an Australian here on social media. She's an entrepreneur, a strategist, an educator, a speaker, an author, and I could go on and on and on, but I'm losing breath here. She's a wife, a mother, a bonus mom. Oh my gosh. Yes. And she is the founder of Women Winning Now. She wears many hats and knows well how to juggle. Well, welcome, Nicole.
Thank you. So excited to be here and to have this conversation.
Oh, yes, good to have you. And last, viewers, but certainly not least, we have Ruth Lawrence. Ruth is an empowerment specialist and a life speaker. She will speak to that. She's a youth development leader at the Ministry of Education in Jamaica, and she's a devout Christian. As we get Ruth on, I will share with you that one of her favorite passages is Proverbs 8:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. I leave that with us all today. Remember, we can't do it by ourselves, okay? And we're waiting for Ruth to join us. I'll let you know we were having some technical difficulties earlier, but I am confident that our technical team will soon have her here with us because, them just good like that. We can overcome any obstacle. And while we're waiting again, I would just like to reach out to our sponsors. Here she is. And our conference sponsor, title sponsor is Jamaica Tourist Board. Our scholarship sponsor is Broward Meats. And our media sponsor is Jamaicans.com. We also have Turnbury Marketing. And these are our 4 top sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, sponsors.
Thank you, sponsors.
Without you, we couldn't be. So
it's true. They're so
here
important.
We are. Ruth, are you with us? Are you hearing me? Ruth? I'm not sure Ruth, technical team, I'm not sure Ruth is hearing. I'm seeing her, but she's not hearing. We're going to go right ahead. All right. We also, and before we go ahead, giving them another minute, I'll reach out to our vendors. We have vendors. We have vendors that also are important to this conference. For those of you who know, previously we had our conference at this huge, posh conference center. And one of the highlights of that conference were our vendors. And so, I, for one, was very engaging in the conference, but was drawn to it a lot for the vendors because, yes, we had some unique stuff there. So not to be left out, we had Desert Sage. They have the most beautifully smelling candles. We had rib jewelry. Yes, they do jewelry, they do sandals, very unique stuff, a lot of silver stuff. Yes, I have one of their pieces. June Plum accessories. Paul Blackwood artwork. Yes, Paul does some beautiful artwork. So does Yard Abroad. Yard Abroad quite wide. They do artwork, they do t-shirts, they do anything Jamaican you want. You can go through Yard Abroad. And then we have the next step. they also do some beautiful sandals. So those are just a few of the vendors that we have that are involved. So let's move forward. I know you're here for the panelists, and I know they're ready to go. So while we wait for Ruth to join us, I'm going to get started with my first question. And that question is for you, Nicole. Ruth, are you hearing us? Just a second. Ruth? Still not hearing us. Okay, Nicole. Define for us you're happy. Talk to us about it.
My happy is when all the areas of my life that are key for me are going the way I want them to go. So, I identify the key areas of my life as first my relationships. Those are the most important. And that's with my husband, my children, my mom, my sisters, my friends, because I believe that relationships make life. And if those relationships are out of whack, then it's very difficult for me to find happy or fulfillment in anything else. So those I define as primary and really sacrosanct, and I try to protect them as much as possible and not allow career and goals and work stuff to crowd and infringe on that. And that's a continuous process. So relationships, first of all, and then I look at my impact in the world. Because I lived, is somebody's path smoother? Am I adding value? That's extremely important to me, to add value. So when that's happening, that's a part of my happy as well.
Okay.
In a nutshell.
Thank you.
Impact on relationships.
Oh, yes. Very important. Very important. So, Denique, your question is, what inspires you?
Oh, I get inspired by a lot, actually. And for me, it really depends on maybe the moment, the context. So it can be very small things. I mean, there are people who are around me, whether it's my family or my friends, and they might do something in that moment that I really admire and say, okay, how can I now replicate this? So usually it's something where somebody has shown me in the most kindest way possible, and probably not even realizing it, some horrible thought that I have that now suddenly becomes obvious, and I go, okay, I need to learn how to respond with the grace that this person just showed me when I messed up so badly, things like that. So that's where I find maybe a lot of the inspiration coming from.
Okay, very important. Grace. I love that. I'm going to try again. Ruth. Yes, she's smiling.
Finally. We're so happy to see you and hear you, Ruth.
Likewise, Nikki. Hi, Denique. I don't
know what you're missing. Not being able to hear Ruth and to see that smile and that energy. Oh, so guess what? You're just in time for your question.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm wanting to hear from you about your passion. Why youth? I know you talk about youth being your passion. Tell us why.
All right. Well, youth is a critical part of who I am, I believe. It really stemmed from my life. I would say the very essence of who I am, in that I grew up in the church and I saw how important mentorship was. I saw how that where I am today, that it was as a result of someone investing in me, someone taking the time to mentor me. And what I have realized now is that many young persons right now need that sort of support. I mean, there are so many influences out there, but when positivity comes into their life, it tends to transform them into that individual. And so youth, to be honest, that's why I look so young today. I mean, being around is very contagious. But it's just good to know that you're able to influence the future generation, because when you see them evolving and growing and becoming, it's just a beautiful thing. So I just love the work that I do with young people.
And isn't that what Jamaican Women of Florida is all about?
Absolutely.
Influencing, being there for young people. How apropos. So thank you. Welcome on. Wow, this is exciting. Well, today we're going to be talking about reset. Yes. I'm sure all of us have been impacted by this pandemic in one way or another. And as you know, we talked about it before, where previously we did the reclaim, we did the rebalance, and we spoke about those. And, we've gone beyond that now. So now we're going to be talking about reset. How do we reset our lives? How do we reset our businesses? And one of the other things, viewers, that I needed to have pointed out is that Jamaican Women of Florida, one of the things that they do is, and you'll see that through their scholarship and a lot of the other work that they do, they are here to influence the next generation, the next gen. And it's by no coincidence that all my panelists today are a bit younger than I am. And a bit younger than the panelists that have been there in the previous sections. So, but we're feeding into the next gen here, and we're wanting to hear from you, because we, as the boomers and the veterans and those before you, we have to learn from you, because you are our future. Basically, you are our present and you are our future. So take it in. Make sure we have questions. So my next question, and we're starting to go into what you do, who you are, how we're going to be starting all this reset, is for Denique. Denique, discuss the importance of technology at this time and some things that we may that we're taking for granted in your eyes.
So the importance of technology at this time, so I will start with that first. And I mean, we know that technology can help us to do things that we probably couldn't do on our own, right? So whether that is that we can reach out, we can extend our reach, so we can now interact, collaborate, whatever you will, with far more people than we might have been able to, just in person. We can do things faster. We can do things more efficiently. Something that's very important to me is that when we talk about efficiency, is that you do things that maybe minimize waste, right? Things that you were doing before that maybe weren't so environmentally friendly, you might actually find out that, hey, there's a better way to do that. Sometimes it's even a cheaper way to do that, right? So those are the different ways in which technology can become very important, right? Because it just gives you a springboard from which you can reimagine the way that you have been doing things all along and probably find something better, right? New opportunities even. So in terms of what we take for granted, I'm wondering if we're talking about what you take for granted with technology in terms of what technology can do, or
I'm the lay person. I'm me, a boomer, who is not as technical as you are.
Okay, so
for granted that could have been helping me, and
so maybe or maybe missed opportunities. So I think a lot of people might think, for instance, that technology is kind of a magic wand, right? You just stick a computer somewhere and voila, all of your problems are solved, right? But that would be the equivalent of, say, taking a pen and putting it on top of a piece of paper and being like, all right, cool, now my novel is going to be written. Right?
Well, that would be great.
A very good analogy.
Right. The technology itself is that pen. It's just a tool. And what you do with it is almost far more important than the tool itself, right? And so you want to be very intentional about what you're doing with technology, because just as how it can be good, because I don't want to make it sound like, oh, technology is wonderful and we should apply every single where. We also have to think about, ways that it could potentially be harmful. There's good and bad in everything. Just as how you can use a pen to write words that are uplifting and edifying, you can use it to tear someone down. Absolutely. And so you can do similar things with technology. You want to be very intentional with how it is that we're using this and how we're seeking to improve our lives, but the lives of those around us as well.
Yeah. Thank you. People, you hear that? I hope your computers are not just sitting there, but that you are being intentional about what you're doing with it, because it's there to help you. Thank you very much, Denique. So, Ruth.
Yes, ma'am.
In service to youth development, what are some of the challenges you are seeing with the youth in Jamaica?
All right. Well, all right. That's a very, very good question. But
That's why I
first,
asked it.
don't it? Well, the thing is, challenges with young people. I think first thing, when we're looking at the challenges that they might encounter, we have to first look from a perspective that young people are assets and not liability. I think many times we tend to look at young people as the problem and not seeing them as the solvers of many of the problems with which we've been faced with.
Right.
So that's one. So when we look at their challenges now, it's seeking to enable them to really maneuver and to mitigate the challenges that exist. So, for example, we realize that young people are creative. We realize that how we would see something, a young person might not necessarily see it that way. And they might say, but me, if you do it this way, it's way easier, you know? Again, when we look at young people, the challenge is one that they're facing, I believe, is the lack of reference for me in terms of understanding who they are. Many young persons right now are searching. They're searching for self. They're searching for acceptance. They're searching for an avenue where they can just be. Because many times we see young people and we tend to have a particular frame of reference that we want for them to be, rather than having them assess, analyze, and come to the realization that this is who I really want to become. I think a lot of times, even as adults, we tend to want to impose on young people who we think they should be, but rather equipping them with the tools for them to come to the acknowledgement that, listen, this is what I want to actually become when I grow up, or at this point in time in my life.
Wow. Wow, that's powerful and very, very important. I hope we're taking that in, viewers. Allow them to come into their own and be able to have their point of reference. So, Nicole, are you ready?
I'm ready. I've been taking notes, by the way.
Thank you. Tell us, how do you know when it's time to reset?
How do you know when it's time to reset? Well, I think to know when it's time to reset, you've got to have a clear sense of where you want to be. You have to have a clear sense of what your ideal looks like and feels like. And so to even take the time to write that down, write down what's my ideal vision for my family life, for my relationships. What is my ideal vision for my impact? What's my ideal vision for my finances, my career? I mean, everything that's a major key to you. I think it's so important to have a very clear sense of the ideal so that you can then plan to move in terms of how you're going to move toward it, set the goals under that. So you would know when it's time to reset when you are not on that path. You see, if you don't know where you're going, it's hard to know if you're on track or off track. You just feel off, but you don't really know why. And so it's really important for us to just step back, take the time, because it does take time, but it's so worth it. It's what I call a time asset versus a time liability. And I have to continuously tell myself that because I'm an action girl. I love to just be in the doing of things as opposed to the planning of things. But you have to, introspection and really observing yourself is really important. You have to take that step back and say, what's important to me? What does ideal look like and feel like to me? Write it down. And then when you're off in any area, you can immediately pick it up and say, well, this is what ideal is. This is where I'm supposed to be going. I'm not going there. Why? What do I need to tweak and adjust? So take COVID, for example. COVID was hopefully soon was, but has represented a major disruption. Let's face it, for all of us. I don't know anybody who has been unaffected, right? And in the first few weeks, it was really difficult for me because it's like almost all of these areas have to hit reset in because, there's the career and it's like, okay, well, you were planning these face-to-face SAT classes for the summer. That doesn't look like that's happening. So I had to reset in terms of my college prep, but also even in terms of how I structure my day. My kids are home. My son especially, God bless his heart, he has come here to teach his mother patience because the Lord knew I needed to build it. My one son, my baby boy, who's so sweet, right? So, in terms of just getting him on track in school and also learning how to, it's been a beautiful opportunity to learn things because I spoke to you yesterday about it, and he says, Mommy, it's like, it's just so hard to stay on track when nobody's there making you do it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he has captured it exactly. Got out there on Netflix or YouTube. So anyway, I've had to really learn how to hit reset in terms of my schedule, my exercise, because I can't go to the gym anymore, right? Gym not keeping. I had to reset that because I was falling into a pattern of snacking all the time, the anxiety eating, drinking too much wine. I had to reset that too. So because I am clear about where I'm going in every area of my life and what is ideal, I was able to pinpoint, like, this is not ideal. This here need a reset. How am I going to do it? What do I need to put in place?
Thank you. They say if you don't know where you're going, any road can take you there.
Absolutely.
Right? Ain't that the truth? All right. This is so interesting. Keep them questions coming. Our final round of questions before we start to take the of discussion before we take the questions. Ruth.
Yes.
What does it mean to reset the mindset?
I love that question. All right. So listen, ensure that you are taking notes, people. All right. So for me, when I was doing my research in terms of how do I reset, 3 things I need for persons to understand on this at this conference. It's in order to reset, you must have 3 levels of sight. It's hindsight, insight, and foresight. Hindsight shows you what would have happened. Insight is showing you what is currently happening. And foresight is the projection in terms of where you want to go. Right? So in order to reset, you have to come to the realization of what would have transpired in my past that I need to change. Right? Where am I now as a result of the decisions that I've made in my past? Where do I need to be, right, in terms of becoming and being better? And we have to also remember too, that when we are talking about reset, it's not starting over, it's a do-over. It's an opportunity, right, that we all get to do things differently. It's getting the courage to do things differently. But most importantly, taking a hold of every single second that you've been given. I spoke about it at the test session. Listen, we all have 86,400 seconds in a day. Therefore, we ain't got time to waste. We do not have time to waste. And when you have a vision for your life now, you are going to have to start taking some things captive. When you reset, there has to be a level of frustration. When you get frustrated, that usually pushes you to change. When you are pushed into change now, you will now start to analyze what are some of the things that I need to do? What are some of the strategies that I need to put in place? How then do I hold myself accountable in ensuring that what I have set out to do, it is actually being done? You see what I'm saying? So we have to really be very cognizant of time when we're speaking about reset. We've all been given a new slate. As I said, tabula rasa, a blank slate every single day. What will you do with that blank slate? Are you going to fill that blank slate with the issues of the past, with those who never like you, with the struggles and the crosses we faced yesterday? Or will you decide to say, listen, yes, me did fail yesterday on that test here, but today I choose to rewrite my own story because I have the pen, I have the ability to do that. So when we're talking, just to narrow it down and close off with the reset thing, we first have to ensure that there is hindsight, insight, and foresight. If you don't have, especially the foresight, you're kind of dark. So therefore, when we talk about the foresight, it's realizing that, listen, my life ahead of me is not necessarily going to look like where I am today. And when you realize that your no is not necessarily impacting your tomorrow, you have a different perspective. When you realize that your tomorrow is so much better and brighter, And listen, let me tell you something.
Amen, sister. Well,
When you start tapping into your core and unleashing your potential, you will realize that, listen, there is so much more on the other side of my failure. There's so much more on the other side of my limitation. There is so much more on the other side of the discouraging things that are happening in my life. So listen, reset is a decision to move forward.
thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. Amen. All right. Nicole,
Yes.
biggest hurdles that hold women back from progressing. How do you circumvent these and reset?
So definitely, first of all, just want to say that I completely agree. When I put the reset question out to my Insta friends doing in my stories, and I mean so many responses and a lot of fear around the word reset, because it does imply, oh my God, I have to start over and do everything over and whatever. And to me, I just wanted to say that no experience is ever wasted. And so for everybody out there who hears the word reset and they're like, oh my God, it brings up the same way discipline kind of brings up, like, it shouldn't. Discipline is freedom. Reset is an opportunity. It doesn't mean you're starting over, because you probably have already learned so much and set different things in place. And so reset is just a new chance to be happier, make things work better. And I think we're always in that process of leveling up. So it's nothing to fret or worry about. Now, as a woman, no, mind you, I've never been a man, so I don't know what men. I don't want to make it seem like, compared to men or whatever, but just my experience as a woman is that in certainly when you have children and you have a household to manage and to run, it's a challenge just trying to make sure that everybody's needs are met and that you are choosing thrive for yourself. And giving the time and attention to your own goals and your own career. And I have a great husband. He's super awesome. He's somewhere around. I had to warn him. I said, Jeffrey, I have webinar, and it's not just my little webinar. This is the Women of Florida webinar. And so please no noise, because he's in charge of all things outdoors, all things we want to fix, whatever. So every Saturday, especially in COVID now, is the drill. You can hear all the noise. So we have different roles, and it's not to say he doesn't, fulfill his different roles in a great, awesome way. But I am more hands-on with the children in a lot of ways, especially in their education. And my background is education. I run an education business. So he's like, that's your department. And he's the dean of discipline. But, in terms of just balancing and managing them, especially in this COVID time when they're home and, it's online school, it's a new thing for them, to helping them to manage their own emotions and still learn and still advance and then still be, running my businesses remotely. It is, and then running the house and all of that. It's a specific type of challenge. And I think globally, women in general, in all different kinds of situations, just carry more domestic burden than men. It's just a fact. And so there is the paid employment that women are doing, and then all of the unpaid jobs that they assume sort of more of in general. So that's definitely something that has to be managed.
All right. So viewers, you hear, it's not specific to just you. All of us are going through this at some place. So it's finding that way to reset, to circumvent, to get around, and continue being superwoman, because that's what it sounded like you were talking about, Nicole.
I mean, to me, it's just the only thing you can do is do your best. That's why it's so important to be planned and organized. I think that is the major super tool of any woman that is seeking to balance it all. I don't even like the word. I mean, you create your own kind of balance, and it's always this continuous process of, is it working? Juggling. Juggling. Is it working? Juggling. Do I need to pull back? Like during COVID, for example, I found myself working till 8, 9 in the night. My routine with my children and their story time was all
join the club.
My husband coming to my door, my office door, and just giving me the glare. I mean, we're just continuously trying to work it out, do
Right.
our best.
Thank you. Thank you. So lastly, before we go into what the viewers are asking, Denique, I want to know, and this is my question to you, is it a myth that women are not well represented in technology? And how will this affect the business reset? Is it a myth, first of all? And if it's a myth, how will that affect the business reset?
Oh, as in how businesses reset themselves? Okay, well, so first of all, the whole thing, is it a myth? No, I have to preface this by saying that I am not, I feel that my personal experience might be atypical for, I think, maybe quite a few people. But I don't think that it is a myth, as in worldwide. You find that in different countries, the balance might be a little different, right? So, for instance, my experience, as a young girl in Jamaica, all of my computer science teachers were women, right? When I went, of course, I went to all girls school for high school. And so, you had brilliant girls in math and science, and it was nothing strange. Like, you never got, and as a matter of fact, even when I went to a quiet primary level school, mono prep, there wasn't that, I certainly didn't feel anything that said, oh, this is for boys and that's for girls in terms of science or technology. Or maybe I ignored it because I love them so much. Like, why would I let someone discourage me from it? And then when I went on into the working world, the first IT director I had was a woman. Second one was a woman. Like, there was no shortage to me of those women who were, making their impact in science and technology. Now, that being said, it wasn't until I was graduating from UWI, when I was finishing up, a degree in electronics, that the balance of male to female just tipped to be half and half. As in, before, it was mostly male, right? So you see what I mean? Like, there are pockets. And then even for all of that, I was not discouraged myself, say, as a girl, to do this, to do science or math. My father, for instance, was actually trying to get me to only focus on science, because he thought that that's what was, that's where the future was. But, I know a lot of women, for instance, who have grown up, who work in the States, for instance, who they definitely felt that pressure, that they were discouraged, whether it was, sometimes it's not consciously, sometimes it's just, all right, everybody, say your colleagues want to have some informal talks about work and so on. And, they just go and have this man's chat in a bar. And of course, they don't invite you. Right. And so sometimes it's not even a conscious decision, but things like that contribute to the othering of women in science and technology. In terms of resetting businesses and the challenge that can have is that your best ideas really come from diversity, whether volume and diversity. Right?
Yes.
So sometimes
absolutely.
they will say that the best way for you to have a good idea is to first come up with several bad ones, right? For instance. But then also, you don't want to be the only one who's contributing those ideas, right? You have a very certain set of experiences and perspectives. And even without trying to be biased, there's just certain things that you don't think of because you didn't have that kind of experience. Your eyes were not open to that kind of interpretation. And so you want to have a case where you have your balance of male and female, even different domains of expertise, any other kinds of, identity groups that people might have. You want to have groups that are working to solve problems to be diverse, because that way you're getting the benefit of all these different experiences and interpretations. And believe it or not, there have been a lot of harmful things that we're seeing in the tech world because all the people on the team who designed this looked like each other, had the same background, right? And so they just didn't think of, so even at a very simple example, so things like maybe even home security systems, right? I mean, which I think a lot of us might feel, especially in Jamaica, might feel, oh, we're interested in that. Of course, you want home security, right? You want to see like who might be in your house, even if you have people who come in to do work, you want to make sure everything is okay. It sounds great. But there are people who have been using that, for instance, to abuse their spouses, right? By being able to follow and track their every move. And that's something that might not come readily to someone who has not had to, maybe worry about that kind of a situation happening. Right. And so if you have someone who has that kind of perspective that now might raise certain questions about, this is great, but how can people abuse this? Are there ways that we can, now control for that kind of abuse? And so it becomes very important in that sense. If you're in a position where you're now reimagining how you're doing something, to have, that kind of representation. And yes, that definitely means including women in the planning, the designing, the implementation of these things.
Thank you so much. Wow. Yes, so as we reset people, remember, we have to think about these things. And as Denique touched on it, technology is not just about in the workplace. We all deal with technology throughout, even our smartphones, we take these things for granted, but there's so much that needs to be considered. So as we reset the different parts of our life, the different functions that we do, we need to take and be aware of technology and how it's helping us or how it could help us to go forward. So again, foresight, insight.
Hindsight.
Hindsight.
Start with hindsight. All right, so we're going forward. Thank you so much. This was so interesting. Let me hear what our viewers have to ask. Our top question is, and I think this goes to anyone, it's what are your tips for self-accountability? What are your tips for self-accountability? Want to start with that, Nicole?
Sure. Accountability. Well, first of all, be sure and know why this thing that you need to be accountable for is really important to you. And I might sound like a stock record, but I honestly believe that half of our frustration in life is because we just haven't stopped to really, really achieve clarity. And so sometimes you're over here in pursuit of a goal and you don't even know really why you want the goal, and then it's difficult to hold yourself accountable and summon the emotional energy that you're going to need to carry out the goal. So let me give you a personal example. I've struggled with my weight for a decade, a little over a decade, up and down on every yo-yo diet, cayenne pepper, cabbage soup one time diet, Atkins, South Beach. Come on, you act like you don't know all the diet then.
No, I don't. I can't relate.
I went to an all-girls school at just actually St. Andrew High in Jamaica, and actually our yearbook. Yeah, our yearbook, and in our yearbook, my favorite statement as a fifth former graduating, I was like 15 years old, was I'm on a diet. That's extremely sad. But it was only when I actually created my vision board and got clear about what my goals were, what I wanted for my life, what was my vision, that I was able to really get serious about health, fitness, exercise. And it was only then I was able to lose the weight, because in my mind, I was like, oh, I need to be cute. I need to fit into this size. And all these other things. Every party that's coming up, I would go on crazy diet. Oh, this event coming up, I have to fit into this. And when I got clarity for my life, I realized, no, I need confidence. I can't afford to constantly be thinking about what I ate last night, regretting it, or thinking about what I'm going to eat later, or I'm just feeling so bad and down. I spent so much energy on the whole weight, food, confidence thing. And in terms of my mission, which is to uplift and empower people to realize their full potential. That's what I do with AIM. That's what I do with Goal Accelerator. There's no way for me to do that if I do not feel confident. So I had to say, oh, that's why that goal is important. Okay. And then I could say, all right, how am I going to do it? Accountability, find professionals. I often find that and I love DIY. No, I hate DIY. What am I saying? I don't love DIY, none at all. But I'm fine with working hard and doing things for myself. But there's a time when you have to know when you need outside help other than you. And so you have to know when it is that it makes sense for you to invest in a professional. So I invested in a trainer. My sister was a health coach at the time. I hired her. I went and did a nutrition session with Camila, my really good friend who has been a panelist on Women of Florida before. And when I got all those things together now, I could then execute the plan, and I had the accountability. Also joined a group. We were called Lean Clean, and all of us were working on the same objective. In the Goal Accelerator Club, each person gets an accountability partner, and every month we have a coaching check-in. So sometimes, I know the question was self-accountability, but for self-accountability, it's about clarity and knowing what's the cost of you not reaching the goal and why it's important to you. And then I firmly believe in outside accountability, some of which you pay for, some of which you don't necessarily pay for. Even with my business, for example, I knew 3 years ago I wanted to be doing more things online. And I was Googling away and realizing after a year, it was on my vision board, I'd made no progress to building an online business. And I was like, well, Google is not going to work anymore. Clearly, I need something else. I went and invested in a coach to help, a business coach, but specialized in online stuff. And I mean, it's the most money I've ever spent on a coach, it was just like, it blew my mind. Listen, me, I don't run no losing money game. So you see, when I spend that money, that's the accountability I needed. So sometimes it's all an investment that will give you the accountability. Like you said to yourself, oh, hell, I just spent X amount of dollars on that. I'm not making that go to waste. I'm going to do what this person says. I'm going to follow through here. So put something on the line.
Wow. Accountability at its best. Anybody else want to answer that one, or should I go to the next question? Because it was an open question. Anyone want to add something?
There's one more thing that I think, or maybe a couple more things that I could add to that too. I mean, definitely that whole thing about, yes, you have skin in the game is very important. And I think another thing too that I might find works for me, because I might not necessarily be a super focused or necessarily clear in terms of I want this very specific thing, but I know maybe the impact that I want to have, and I'm just not necessarily sure how, I'm going to get there. Because I think sometimes too, I mean, we also need we also can't beat ourselves up if we spend some time kind of wandering in the desert, kind of looking for what it is and trying to get that idea, because at some point in that journey, clarity will come. But once you keep that idea that, okay, this is the impact I want, and you're looking out for certain things, you start to be able to pick up that, hey, maybe this is the kind of coach, like what Nicole was saying, that I need, not just any coach, but this particular one, because I know that it's similar to that kind of impact that I want to have. Or even on a personal level, just kind of also maybe shrinking the steps that you need to take to get something done. Because sometimes you just look at, I want to have this impact or this big goal, and it's massive. It's a huge goal, right?
Right.
But if you break it down, and sometimes when you break it down, you have to really break it down to the micro level, as in, I need to write this summary.
Yes.
I'm going to write one sentence.
Yes, girl, right? Yes.
And really break it down so that you keep, every mickle make a muckle, as they say. You make those small steps and it adds up to something. Yeah.
And I feel like I'm in Parliament.
All right. Okay. I'm going to move. Actually, before I go to the next question, let me just talk to the viewers for a minute. Viewers, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. I hope you are getting in as much as I am getting in from this engagement and this discussion. Very insightful, especially coming from these next gens. One of the things I omitted to tell you at the beginning is a bit about the conference. Once we finish this panel discussion, we're going to be hearing from our president or vice president for Ruth, and then we're going to be hearing from some of the scholarship recipients that Ruth gives scholarships to. Very, very interesting. And trust me, After that, we're going to party like it's 1999. We got the DJ of the best. And yes, so sit back, stay with us, and just stay engaged as we go forward. Now, Ruth, I'm going to give you this question because it kind of is akin to the first one. Are there any lessons you have learned during this time that will impact what is now your new normal, or what your new normal will look like?
That's a good one,
Let's
girl.
see.
Yes.
I know, right? Dr. Sue coming out today, rocking and loaded. The lessons I've learned coming out of this period, well, there are so many. One of the things I have been introspecting on is the fact that I cannot allow the pain or the discomfort that I'm feeling now to affect how it is that I respond to a particular situation.
Oh, so important. Yeah.
Right.
Preach.
Yeah.
Right now, COVID has caused many things to, go on a downward spiral. I mean, some things have been put on hold, and we're here like wondering, like, what just happened? Is 2020 creeping? Like, please, somebody, wake me up out of this nightmare. But again, I want persons to understand that you should never lose sight of your vision. Nicole spoke about it, Denique spoke about it. Vision is very important. Vision gives you clarity. Vision gives you hope. When you have hope, and you have a clear vision, irrespective of whatever it is that your situation is before you, there is a drive that tends to be built up, because so listen, COVID are gone, it may keep for a couple months, but it's not gonna last, right? Yeah. And that is where we have to get to. The situation, the circumstances, the heartache, the breakup, the marriage upon the rocks. You're single and I wonder when you gotta go try and drop in boys in your lap. Whatever it is, you have to understand that the situation you're in is temporary. Do not lose sight of your vision. Another thing is that pain is rough. Pain is rough. It hurts, but you also have to be able to decide whether it is that you're going to work with the pain aspect or you're going to take the pressure. Pressure means you become uncomfortable, and it often pushes us to change. Pain means that we're stuck and we're still being traumatized by our past circumstances. So sometimes when we're talking about resetting and doing a new thing, we have to realize that, listen, you see, today, I broke right now. I realize that the reason why I broke up because I overspend. I realize that the reason why I broke up because I have a swiping problem. When I go into I swipe it, I charge it. Right, but when you realize that the bills them start bank up on you, and are in a very unfortunate situation, you're like, oh my God, I cannot allow this to be my reality. So the lessons I've learned really is that I will not allow my pain to cause me to lose sight of my vision, the vision I have for my life. Me not gonna allow it in the name of Jesus.
There you go.
I'm with that 100%. Dr. Sue, permission to add on to that. I really, because that resonates with me so much. The truth is that it is hard. Let's not pretend that it is hard not to allow your present circumstances to worry. When you see the no money coming in, when you see office at a lock, when you see you can't do this and you can't do that, and all the plans that you have put in place, it's very hard not to get stuck there. Very hard. And it is what I find is you've got to have the vision so clear that when you feel it and you visualize it, it can give you the power to keep moving, because you know what the future that you want feels like, and you can focus and channel into that irrespective of what the present feels like. If you pay too much attention to the present and worry about it, then it compromises everything. And you just don't. Absolutely. And you're not moving in faith, because you see, when your vision pulls you and you have it so clear and you know what you're doing, you can move with a confidence and a faith and a certain mindset that allows you to vibrate on a frequency where your eyes are open to all the opportunities and the other ways and the people and the things
Endless
that can help you
possibilities.
to move forward. It's endless possibilities, and it might look different than how you imagined it, but it don't mean you're not going to still get to your goal. Yeah, you're going to have to tweak some of the methods. Yeah, you thought you were going to have a face-to-face conference in a big fancy room. Well, guess what? It can't happen, but we're having a virtual conference, and the point is still having impact. So it's just about like he who dwells and is not moving, thinking forward. So that first you have to think forward before you can move forward, you know.
Absolutely.
So sit down and dwell and say, well, this can't. Yeah, avoid the people who have a problem for every solution and make sure you're not one of them. You have to be able to be so disciplined with your mind that when you close your eyes and you feel it and you visualize it, you all start thank God for it, and it don't even happen yet because
in advance.
it don't happen because you feel it already. You bring
we have to move on.
One last thing, scientifically, your brain can't tell the difference between a real experience and an imagined experience if the imagined one is vivid enough. So you have to go exercise your mental power where God
be intentional.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Wow. All right. I have to, and I'm going to have to give this one to Ruth because it impacts your area of expertise. So Ruth, most young people are intimidated to engage possible mentors. What are your tips that can help facilitate that initial contact?
All right. Well, mentorship. Okay. All right. No problem. So mentorship, as I said before, is very important. A lot of the times we have to think of two things before approaching a possible mentor. Sometimes we tend to think that a mentor can be someone who is older than us. Not necessarily the case in all situations. Sometimes your mentor can be your own age. Maybe someone can mentor you based on a particular situation, your similarities within your given experience, right? So you approach it that way. One of the things I would say is to do your research, right? A lot of the times we tend to want to look outside of where we are to get a mentor, right? And it's okay if you want to look outside, but again, you have to equally look rather within you, around you. All right. My mother, for example, is a mentor. A given area of my life, I would possibly go to my mother for certain things. In business, I would have maybe probably seek out Nicole, right? If I have IT things now, Denique could be my next point of reference, you know? So again, your mentors, I never want to subject myself to one given mentor. There are several persons in my life who would have impacted different areas of my life. So it's one, building up the confidence enough. First, assess, can this person be trusted with my vision? Nicole alluded to it earlier. You have some people sometimes, yes, they are good, motivators, but they might not be able to see where you're going. And whilst it is that their encouragement, it might not be in alignment with where you are going. And sometimes it can kill the dream or the vision that you have before it's time. Good advice, yes. But what I want for persons to understand is that God gave you the vision. He gave you the dream, not anybody else. So you have to be very mindful in terms of how you assess first who it is that you're going to, and don't be discouraged if it is that you are placed with you are put in a situation where it's not in alignment with your given ideal, right? For that given mentorship, and have many persons, as I said, look first within around you. Who are the persons around you that you can have as mentors, and then you can build from there. Because I think a lot of the times we want to jump and get international mentors and, oh, this is my mentor, when really and truly you can glean from the persons who are around you first. Then know, as your vision expands, as your ability and your scope expands, then know you can build out from there.
Okay,
Dr. Sue.
I noticed she never said she would come to me for any mentoring, but that's quite fine.
Dr. Sue, of course.
Dr. Sue,
yes.
Can you ask for, and I want to share this just with the ladies, and I'm not sure what their thoughts on it, but I really want to talk about it because I find that people don't know how to go about actually building a relationship before they ask for the person to be their mentor.
True.
If you have your eyes on somebody you want to mentor you, that means that person has achieved something you want to achieve or is successful, which means that person just don't have time to just be like, oh yeah, it probably means that a million people are asking them to be mentored. I have a little experience with this. And it means that their time is at a premium, right? So a perfect stranger sending a DM, can you be my mentor? That is never gonna work. So I feel like, you know, first we need to guide our young people or anybody, because you don't have to be young to want a mentor. That first you have to seek to build a relationship and add value to the person you seek to be a mentor, and then allow that relationship to evolve. The people I mentor right now are people who have first come into my life bringing some kind of value or offering something or retweeting something or just constantly like showing support, sending resources. Seek to be of value. Yes. And allow the relationship to evolve.
That's very, very important.
Absolutely.
Very important relationship. Agreed. All right. And I'm going to ask Denique, what books do you recommend for young people to help guide self-exploration? I don't know how well read you are or what, but is there anything out there that you would push?
It's when you say to guide self-exploration, that is what's giving me a little bit of a challenge. Because I mean, I think it's just coming from the perspective I have, where that I really view everyone as a potential teacher, right? And I mean, you can learn from Anansi's stories. You can learn from, you know, whether it's Harry Potter or one of my favorite books, A Little Princess, that just made such a deep impression on me when I was small. I still keep it to this day. You can learn, you know, just kind of vicariously through the experiences that you have with people. Are you annoyed with a particular character? Why? What are they doing? Does that represent something you might be doing to other people in real life? You know what I mean? So in terms of, if it's a, I mean, I do love books, and I think whether it's fiction or nonfiction, it is a fantastic way to travel, to broaden your horizons, to get yourself used to a whole different set of perspectives. So, I mean, I can't think of, say, any, you know, because sometimes when you ask a question like that, it sounds like, oh, it needs to be a self-help book, right? And it might not, that I think that, yes, some of those are useful, but those are not the only resources that you can draw on, right? I mean, you can really reflect on, for instance, what are these characters doing? Why did, you know, this event unfold the way that it did? How could this have happened differently? Does this feel like something familiar? Did this happen in your life? Does it make you think about how else you could have done that differently, right? And sometimes too, you're just exposed to different ideas. I remember there was some strange science fiction book that I think very few people have heard of. It was called Dream Thief or something like that. And one of the things that stuck out to me, I read this maybe, I don't know, when I was a young teen or something. Of course, it takes place in the future. And one of the things that stuck out to me was that they had all of these various people who had just studied multiple disciplines. Like they were, you know, it wasn't just a doctor. They might have done medicine and law and, you know, atomic physics and whatever it is. And it just made such an impression on me that it actually, I think, helped influence me wanting to do multidisciplinary studies myself. So that's what I mean. Like, you can then pick up these ideas that maybe just didn't occur to you before. You know, so just be open in what you're reading, but definitely read.
Yes.
For sure. Agreed. For sure. I have a question here, and this could be either for Nicole, coming from the business perspective, or Denique. What advice would you give to an entrepreneur who is not tech savvy? And I think that question comes from Beverly. I'm not sure.
You want to go first, or just?
No, you've already started. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, you know, I love chat, so I'm always monitoring on a panel. So I would say, first of all, determine what is necessary for you to achieve what you seek to. I don't know what kind of business you're in, but I think it's just important to learn to know what you need to to learn. You need to know what it is you need to accomplish and what you need to know to accomplish it, because at a certain depth, it might be more useful for you to hire somebody to get that done, depending on what level it's at. It might just be not financially useful, or meaning the opportunity cost is going to take for you to sit down and learn all of that. Maybe it's not going to be worth it. Maybe that's not your area of expertise. And what will bring money into the business is you deep diving on your area of expertise and outsourcing what is not your area of expertise. That said, I have had to learn quite a bit of tech just in the marketing aspect of my business, and then the running, because I run an online membership club, right? So I have to learn certain things so that I can easily add content, and I don't have to, like, I feel a vibe and I want to add something to the portal. I don't want to have to call somebody to do that. Plus, it's like 1, 2, 3 easy to learn. So the easy to learn things, I am prepared to have an open mind and learn them if it will make me execute faster in terms of my area of expertise. And then anything behind that, like after a certain point on the back end, I just hand it over to tech. I have somebody that deal with that. Goodbye. So understand what you need, what the minimum you need to learn is to carry out your function, and just don't get bogged down trying to now learn something that somebody has spent their whole career learning. So you're going to learn it as good as them, as fast as them. You're going to be wasting your time.
Yeah, and I mean, and I can definitely add on to that. I mean, you know, I sometimes describe it as, you know, there are what you call known unknowns, right? And of course, there are unknown unknowns. You don't know what you do not know, right?
What's that one called? Unknown?
Yes.
It's so
but, right? And I think sometimes, again, I mean, and I think this comes back to the idea of using technology with intention, right? So for instance, you might feel that, oh, you know, everybody else has a website. I need a website, right? Do you really need a website just because everyone else has one? You might need to ask for yourself, well, what is the goal that I have for my business? And where are the so where you are now, right? Where are the pain points that you're feeling, that you realize that I am having difficulty doing this the way I am now? So for instance, if you are, say, doing maybe sales, and are you keeping your, you know, your contacts in a spreadsheet, and you're using that to follow up on people to say, find out, all right, have I just started this relationship with this potential buyer? You know, where are we in that sales funnel? Depending on the volume of clients you have, like if your business is really growing in a particular level, that can become unwieldy. And so that now signals, okay, I need to do something different. At which point now you can now start to look for, all right, you can now start, whether that's asking people who are near you, hey, how have you solved this problem? That's why networks are really important. Googling, I mean, like you said, Nicole, you can get trapped in the Google vortex, so you don't want to spend your life like there. But now it starts to help you want to see, are there potential solutions? Sometimes it helps us learn vocabulary, because maybe we have an idea of what we need, we don't know quite how to say it. And sometimes when you have the right words, that now helps you to ask for the things that you really need and to assess what you want. So that's one approach that you can take. And keep in mind that it's not going to happen overnight. And with technology, you can outgrow as well. So it's easier sometimes to start with things that are maybe, I think, more lightweight and more disposable. In other words, you're not going to cry if you spend all of this money on this solution and it doesn't work. Because now it gives you a chance to actually grow with the solution. And as you start to get more involved in a technological solution for something you're doing, you get a little bit more sophisticated in your knowledge. You start to have a better idea of what kind of expert do I need when, and you can get more sophisticated in the solution. But you don't necessarily want to set out to, like, you know, get a cannon to kill a mosquito right away, right? Give yourself that opportunity to grow.
All right. Absolutely. Well, wow. As we get ready to move into hearing from the president and the scholars, and to get down to some dancing with the DJ, I'm going to feed one final question, and then we're going to wrap up this section. All right, ladies, you have been fabulous. I have learned so much already. All right, our vision. And I love this question, so I'm going to feed it. It says, our visions, enthusiasm, and plans are often not understood or embraced by persons around us. Does anybody else have that problem? What advice would the panelists give to ensure we don't shrink ourselves to fit the mindset of others? This is such a good question.
You have to put yourself in different company. And the beauty of technology is that you have that opportunity every single day. Some of it is free, some of it is paid. There are, so many different people to follow. You see, we have to choose what we're going to put into our brains. And sometimes your, ideas, we get really caught up in needing people in our immediate circle to believe in our dreams and to be excited and to believe in us. And God gave you the dream and you the vision, and nobody needs to be more excited or invested in it than you. And it really doesn't matter if other people can't see the dream. It's not their dream. And so I remember I was so disappointed one time. I was right back from university, and I woke up somebody in the bathroom, and they said, "So what are you doing back in Jamaica?" And I said, "Well, I'm helping kids to get into college." And they said, "That's why you went to Princeton, to just do that?" Like as if it wasn't enough. Like, the just. And I felt bad, I'm not gonna lie. When I wanted to start my business, all I could hear from like my auntie, who is just, I know she loved me, but she was just like, "Well, most businesses fail and you don't have the experience," and all of these things. And I mean, I felt bad, but again, people speak out of their own limitations and their own fears on their own lives. That also nothing to do with you. So don't even bother pre it. At the end of the day, you just need to believe enough and then find other people. You tailor who you tell things to. You follow the right people online. You join masterminds. There's so many tools online. You can join mentorship groups, membership clubs. You can do so many things to just surround yourself with the right people in the right circle, and just find that tribe and lean into that tribe. And it doesn't need to be the people who you thought it would be. You have to just let go of that. My husband gave me that advice really well one time when I had this partner in business who, I thought it was our dream together. And then he's like, "Well, I'm leaving. I want to move out to Jamaica." And I'm like, "What?" And my husband had to be like, "Nicole, it's your dream. Why are you putting your dream on the man like that has to be his dream too?"
All right. Thank you, Nicole. Thanks. Ruth?
I just wanted to jump in. Like, listen, you guys are awesome. I just wanted to add a little bit on what Nicole said about the circle. We have to equally assess in our lives whether it is that we're in a circle, we have a circle, or we're in a cage. Many times we're stuck in situations where we've been caged by limited thinking persons. Not that they mean bad for you, but it's just that their foresight tends to be limited. And a lot of the times we will take advice from persons who are not able to see beyond what currently is before them. So you have to assess, are you trapped in a cage of people? Are you trapped in a cage with people who are limited inside in their sight? Or do you have a circle that can feed into you? Do you have a circle that can see with you where it is that you want to go? Equally so, you have to assess your value. Right? A lot of the times we tend to bank a lot on the validation from other people. And a lot of the times they will not give us the validation because, again, their point of reference of who we are and where we are will not put them in a position to celebrate who you are because of where you are.
Point of reference. Yes.
So again, when you're looking at in terms of even moving forward, you have to understand your value. Stop banking on validation from other people. The only thing that requires a validation in this life is a parking ticket. And you ain't got a parking ticket.
Girl.
And the last thing I want for you to get is this, right? You have to learn to have selective earmuffs and blinders. Right? Because you will have some persons who mean you well, yes, but the advice is not befitting of something that can move you forward and propel you to your destiny. You have to also put on when horse are ride. The reason why they put the blinders on a horse is to keep you focused. Any horse they ever see the car where they beside him, are dead, you're dead. Right? So you have to be selective in realizing that you have to put blinders on you. So if God give you a vision to start that business, negativity and say, listen, God, you tell me this is what I'm going after. God told me to write a book, me publish book. Me never know no writing book, no book, no nothing.
Nothing at all.
Some person said to me, say, but you never write a book yet, so why you want to do that? I said, well, God gave me a vision. I started to do my research and I did what God told me to do. Because at the end of the day, when judgment day come, God not supposed to drape me up and say, listen,
yes,
what did I tell you to do?
Disobedient.
Yeah, right. That he spoke about quickly, the parable that he spoke about, the slothful servant. It's because he gave him a mandate and he didn't do it. Nicole said it. Do not allow people don't wait on people to validate your dream. Move. Move. Do it anyway.
Denique,
So true. I know you're up. So I want to try and see if I can slide this in different.
Dr. Sue is over us right now.
I know I want to give a slightly different perspective too, because in the sense that blinkers, yes, important to keep that focus and so on too, but there's flexibility that I think you can include in your vision as well. And then you also don't want to shut people out of your lives, right? Just understand that they're coming from a different perspective. They might not have the influences and knowledge that you might have to realize that maybe this is more feasible than they think. So that's one. Two is that you, in terms of the flexibility, remember, even when you got that advice that businesses fail, what they also don't tell you is that maybe a lot of successful entrepreneurs have had several failed businesses. Failure is not something to run away from, in the sense that it's not going to be the end of your life. It's just now taught you, here is one thing that doesn't work. I can take those lessons learned and I can use it now to build on something, and the final thing you get really might not be exactly as you envisioned it, because sometimes what we really want to hold on to is the impact that we want to have, but the how you have that impact can be more flexible. And sometimes the idea you had to the how wasn't that great, but as you start that journey, you refine it and then you hit on the thing that really works.
Wow.
Dr. Sue is going to never invite me to JWO. Because I've got to say this one, a lot of people, when I put this question out in my IG story about reset, a lot of people were worried that it was too late for them. I could not let this session finish without giving examples of people who are iconic in history. We know them right now.
Colonel Sanders.
Industries, and Colonel Sanders, 60 odd with the KFC. Vera Wang, everybody knows Vera Wang, right? Vera Wang went into fashion at 40. She had actually wanted to be a professional ice skater. That never really worked out. She started in fashion at 40. The founder of the Gap, everybody know Gap? Gap? He started that at 42. Samuel L. Jackson was a struggling actor till he landed a major role at 43. The Zagat Review people, the founder of the Zagat restaurant, Zagat, the both founders, 51 years old when they started. So look here, it's fine. It's okay. Whatever age reset is open, it's possible for you.
No limitation.
Alive.
Amen.
All reset. Oh my gosh, this has been so rich. Thank you, ladies, so much. And viewers, I don't know about you, but I heard some keywords that jumped out of me from these individuals today. Nicole, you spoke about faith. Wow. I don't know if you remember what context, but you talk about relationships and you talk about faith. Without faith, people perish.
Don't make no sense.
Don't make no sense. And faith without work, dead. So we have to reset and we have to do that. Denique, your word was grace. Grace. Who would think? You have to be gracious. When you're talking about where you're going, you have to think grace. You have to think how you said, reimagine. Resetting, but you're reimagining what it is that you did. And wow, courage. Ruth, think about hindsight, foresight, and insight.
Yes, I have it written down.
And make power moves.
Big takeaway. Thank you. And I know the viewers are thanking you too. This was rich. This was insightful. I am walking away with a lot. Although Nicole make it seem like over 55 there is no hope, but with God all things are possible.
That's the opposite of what she was saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying at any age it's all possible.
Any age it is possible.
People
I'm just messing with you, girl. Of course it is.
like, wait, what? No, you frighten me, man.
No, not at all. Not at all. Next gens, you guys are dynamic. Our future is bright. We thank God for you. Keep hope alive. And Dr. Sue is telling you to live a hip life. Intentional and prepared. All right?
I love
Make that part of your reset.
Yes.
And so, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
you.
Thank you.
This was great, dance, girls. I had so much fun. Thank you to the Jamaican women.
We rock.
Yes, I second that, Nicole.
It was excellent. I loved every minute of it.
Thank you. Thanks. So now we're going to be moving on to hear from our president. And I understand that the president might not be here with us today, but the vice president, Keisha Hill Gray, is going to be coming. And she'll talk to you a bit more about JWolf and what JWolf is about. And, she'll be inviting you to become a member. Visit our site, Jamaica Women of Florida.com. And here she is, ladies and gentlemen, Keisha Hill Gray.
Hello. Thank you all for joining us today. Before I get it started, good afternoon, everyone. Wow, what great words to start us off today. I just wanted to take a moment before I got in. You were originally supposed to hear from our president, Arlene. Unfortunately, this morning, as she was getting ready to join us, she received some unfortunate news and her mother passed away. So I wanted you all to take a moment and just for a moment of silence as we think about Arlene and her family during this time. Let's take a moment. Thank you. JWolf gives us a circle, and for that, I'm forever grateful. I joined the organization in 2012, and the circle has certainly wrapped her hands around me, and I ask that we wrap our hands around our sister, our friend, and our president, Arlene, during this time. Good afternoon. Wow. JWolf, our conference has come to an end. What an interesting, historical 2020 virtual conference. Thanks to Karen Vick, one of our talented members who helped us to grasp the virtual alternative, moving our annual conference virtually after the current COVID-19 pandemic caused us to cancel our annual conference, usually held at the Parrot Jungle in Miami, making our first virtual conference become a reality. And it has been a huge success. We have truly embraced the change, reset, and embarked on a journey that has been fruitful, to say the least. In our two previous sessions, we were guided through reclaim and rebalance process. Now today, we were guided through the reset process. Let me hope you gain some tools to support you in becoming more resilient men and women. I want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank all of our panelists who participated in all three sessions. And a big thank you to the 2020 Planning Committee members who worked tirelessly behind the scenes. I greatly appreciated your work and efforts. And to all our sponsors, our guests, thank you for taking the time out of your busy Saturday to be here with us today. A special thank you to our immediate past president, Miss June Minto, for her work and efforts in moving this dynamic organization to another level. Kudos to you, June. As you are aware, we did not charge for this year's virtual conference, but if you find it in your hearts and in your pockets, please donate even $5. It would be greatly appreciated. There's a donate button down below. Every dollar that you donate today will go towards our scholarship fund and to support our girls at the Melody House for Girls in Montego Bay, Jamaica. As we come to close for our 2020 virtual conference, please stay in touch with us, follow us on social media, and don't forget to visit our website. Please be safe, and hopefully we will meet in person at next year's conference or our next JWolf event. Keep smiling, walk good. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Keisha. And again, our thoughts and our prayers go out to our president, Arlene Lewis Matt, at this time. So coming up next, we're going to be hearing from some of our scholars. You've heard that we've given out scholarship awards to some students, and some of the recipients are here. Viewers, JWolf over the past 10 years have given out over $46,000. And this is all coming from you. It's because of your donations. It's because of your support of the Jamaica Women of Florida. And for that, we thank you. And we have now Dale Telfer, who is going to come on, and she's going to tell you more about the scholarship. And she's going to be speaking with some of the recipients for this year, and you'll hear from these young ladies what they're doing, how our efforts and our support are helping them, and where they're going to move to next. And please, while they're talking or just after them talk, go grab your drinks, because we're going to have our DJ Jazzy T coming on, and I'm telling you, he is no mean feat, all right? Jazzy T is coming from the Renaissance Disco in Jamaica, and he is going to have us bubbling after all this. So get ready, get ready, get ready. Ladies and gentlemen, Dale Telfer and our scholarship team.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dale Telfer, and I'm a member of the Jamaican Women of Florida Scholarship Committee. I'm also one of the founding members. I'm very excited and extremely delighted to have the opportunity to share with our audience this afternoon the warm, vibrant, intelligent, and exciting young women who are the next generation of powerful women, the next generation of JWolf members. Hopefully, you will see what the scholarship committee saw in these young ladies, their potential. You will be inspired, so that we will inspire you to hit the donate button. So without further ado, I'm going to be having a conversation with our Taylor Reed. Hi, Taylor. Taylor is one of JWolf's 2019 scholarship recipients. Good afternoon, good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
So Taylor, will you share with us which school you attend and give the audience a little bit of information about yourself?
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm a freshman. Well, I just finished my freshman year at FAU, Florida Atlantic University, and I got all A's both semesters, so I'm grateful for that. I'm majoring in communication studies, and I'm looking for a minor to complement that, but for right now, I just have my major. I'm involved in a Christian organization on campus, and I hope to lead a Bible study when we come back in the fall. And I hope to graduate with my bachelor's degree next fall, so 2021. Since I brought in a lot of college credit from AP classes in high school and doing dual enrollment. So I'm excited about that.
Great. Well, congratulations on the straight A's. Let me put that out there first. And you mentioned the possibility of graduating in 2021. That's a very fast track. That's, I guess, is the results of your determination and focus.
Yes, and my parents.
Absolutely, absolutely. You talked about you went to high school, you had college credits from high school. I guess that's why you're on that fast track.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. Could you give us some insight into how you were able to use your JWOOF scholarship to your best advantage?
Okay, so originally I wanted to go to a private institution, but that was really expensive. So FAU was the next best option for me. And because of the scholarship and going to a less expensive school, like I was able to use the money more efficiently and to become frugal with my money. So I couldn't go to Starbucks all the time, but I did treat myself like once a week.
Oh, good. What this tells us, audience, is that not only does our scholarship help to reduce financial stress, it also is the first lesson in money management, developing your money management skills. That's good. Great. Shifting gears a little. We're now in this era of COVID-19. Global response, none of us seem to be able to escape its impact. How are you coping with the changes that we're all facing?
Okay, so for this semester, I moved onto campus. It's only 30 minutes away from home, but I didn't want to go at first because why spend more money? But I was glad for the experience, even though it was 2 months. And then because of COVID, I had to come back home, which was okay for me because I got closer to my family and my little sisters especially. And my classes got moved online, so I really had to stay on top of it. There was like no set time to wake up and do work, but I just try to like stay on top of that, like how I normally would do if I was on campus. And I don't really see it as like a new normal in a way, but just like a new beginning for all of us. Because when people hear like a new normal, they're like, oh, I have to change everything. I have to reset, like the panelists were talking about earlier. But it's just like a new way for us to go about life.
Okay. Well, you know what? It's amazing that you have the ability to look at this situation in a different light and develop a positive outlook. You are correct. It can be intimidating thinking of the new normal. I'm going to ask you this. Thinking of yourself now as opposed to, say, the Taylor 2 months before high school graduation and the Taylor after this first year of university, almost on the verge of graduating in another year. Tell me, is there any significant way your perception of navigating life has changed?
Oh, definitely, because you can have all these plans, but ultimately, like, whatever God has planned for all of us is going to happen. Like, we can try and change God's mind, and it's not going to work. But we just have to go along with what he says because he knows best for us. And with everything going online right now, I know how to become more tech savvy than I currently am. I am not high tech like my dad or maybe my sister, but I'm open to like learning more about that. And taking communication classes has shown me better ways to communicate like efficiently and more effectively. So we're not necessarily like wasting time, but we're getting more work done in less amount of time. And I think we should go back to the basics with communication, especially because we're going to be face to face like this probably for a little longer. And we have to know how to keep talking to each other, how to like become better at that. Because when we get back together, there's a lot of stuff we're going to have to say to each other.
Well, that's interesting, and I'm impressed with that outlook. Spending a lot of time home with your family forces you now to communicate better with them also. Although I know a lot of young people are now on the phones, but it gives you the opportunity to spend time with your family and improve your communications with them. What does the future look like for you? What do you think? Where will you be in like 4 to 5 years? What do you see?
I see myself 4 to 5 years older for sure. But it's hard to say exactly where I see myself because COVID has changed so much. But I do hope to get back on campus within the next few months, if God allows that. And I hope to get involved in that ministry on campus. They have an internship I want to be part of where I get to go to another school in the country and carry on the ministry there. I also hope to travel the world and do missions and ministry work like all over because I'm really passionate about that. And I hope to have at least completed my bachelor's. Definitely complete my bachelor's and at least start my doctorate.
Okay, great. Again, I noticed you reference your faith a lot, and I know your Gateway family. I know this from talking to you that you're a member of Gateway Church in Fort Lauderdale, so I know they're very proud of you, especially your plan to start, doing some international travel and doing some mission work. I know they're awesomely proud of you today.
Yes.
About that. Can you share one unexpected highlight of college life with us that, really surprised, or something that you never envisioned that you've experienced in your last year?
So going into college, because I came in with so much credit, I really felt pressure to know exactly what I wanted to do. And everyone's like, no, you have 4 years at least, like you'll be fine. I'm like, no, you guys don't understand. I don't have 4 years. I probably have like 1 or 2 left. So I was looking at a bunch of majors that the school offered and registering for classes for the past spring semester. And I was looking and I had chosen classes for the communication studies degree. And it didn't really click immediately, but I was looking, I was like, wow, I have the foundation pretty much laid out. And then it finally clicked, like I should be doing a communications studies degree. So that was really unexpected for me because I thought that I would have to change my major like 10 times, spend a lot of money, but no, I found it pretty quick.
That's good. And like you said, you relied on your faith again to give you direction in that way. So yeah. That was great. Interestingly, today's conference title of seemed to fit in with what you are doing in terms of having to come up with, reset. So yes, you relate to today. I'm sure did you get to watch the entire conference?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay, good. Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was really, really, really good. I enjoyed it. And hearing everyone's perspective about resetting, because everyone thinks that reset is a bad thing. Like when you have to reset your computer, you might lose everything. But with us, like we don't have to lose everything. We can just find a new way to do things.
Okay, great. Now, from your experience so far, is there any advice you think you'd like to offer to the next generation of scholarship recipients?
Yes, I would. Definitely apply for more scholarships too. This one's very helpful, but also keep applying. And don't be afraid of change, because I know like this graduating class of 2020, they don't have a typical graduation ceremony. They don't have prom and all that. But it's okay that you lost those things in a way. Just be prepared for the great things that are going to happen after this, because I know that's going to happen. And for the next generation, look back at what the other generations have done and really go countercultural if you have to make change in the world. So that's what I want to say to them. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon. We really appreciate it. I hope you were able to, like you say, get something from the conference. And I'd like our audience to hit that donate button, because these are the types of investment we make with your donations, or young people or young women who are vibrant, who have so much potential. It's an investment, and we at JWolf appreciate it. We are always relying on support from the public. So please, if you like what you're hearing, you see where we're working, go ahead and hit that donate button. Thank you, Taylor. It was great talking to you. Good to see you. And I know we'll be in touch, and we'll keep in touch to see, how you're doing along the way.
Thank you for having me.
I know your mom and dad, Simone and Dwayne Reed, are extremely proud of you. And we want to tell them we appreciate being able to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we have Tyra.
Yes.
Tyra is our 2017 recipient of the Tyra Fairley. She's our 2017 scholarship recipient. Hello, Tyra. Welcome to Saturday Chat. How are you? How's your afternoon?
Lovely. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Tell the audience where you attend school and what's your current status.
So I attend Miami-Dade College, the medical campus, and I'm a nursing student. So I just finished my first semester with 3.5 GPA, which I'm very happy about since nursing school is very challenging. And I was recently elected for student government president, but with the current circumstances, I'm unsure of how to go about running my presidency.
First, congratulations on the 3.5 in the nursing program. That's not easy, especially for our members who are in the healthcare field. They know how that is right now. Maybe someone listening can provide some tips for you on how to navigate your presidency in this social distancing era. What do you think about that?
That would be really great. I'm open to any ideas.
Okay, so we have a chat box, and I hope some of our members will kind of put some information, some ideas for you. Anybody who has experience leading their organization during this time may have some ideas and some suggestions for you.
And thank you for everybody telling me congratulations.
Oh, okay, cool. Over what's the past several weeks been like for you with things such as family dynamic? How are you dealing with school? How are you dealing with this new, and I talked to Taylor before but she changed the word from a new normal, but some people still look at it as a new normal. How's that change for you? What's going on?
So these last few weeks have not been ideal. I'm really thankful for the health of my family and that our current circumstances they're able to work. So, I'm really blessed for that. But this pandemic has not been easy. It's been challenging, especially on my mental health for the most part. And I have 2 autistic brothers, and between the 2 of them, my house is never quiet.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, and I always knew that there was a constant noise. I knew it was there, but at least I could go out and escape it by going to school. Now I can't help but feel a little trapped in my home. I'm slowly losing my mind.
Oh no, we can't have that.
Yeah,
well, that sounds like a lot of stress. Here, I'd like our audience to really listen to what you're saying, because this is a first-person account of the other side effects of the pandemic. It's not just people getting sick, it's the impact it has on people who are at home and dealing with this new way of living. In your situation, maybe there's a JWOOF member. Like I say, we're a group of women who are from dynamic different specialties. Somebody may be listening who might have a suggestion for you, so I'd ask them if you don't mind to maybe share with you some resources that you could tap into to help you navigate this minefield that you're dealing with. One thing I wanted to ask you about was the JWOOF scholarship. Our scholarship, we at JWOOF like to think of our scholarship as a little bit special and different, because we are with you all 4 years. If you are a 4-year student, the scholarship, you receive your scholarship for 4 years, and we have the potential for mentorship over that 4-year period. So tell me, how have you been able to use your JWOOF scholarship, and what the resources that are available to you?
So throughout the years, I've been able to use my scholarship to buy materials such as a laptop for school and also textbooks. And it's been really amazing to have that consistency of the scholarship. And it feels like a sense of security, because I know that every school year I'll be able to afford the required materials, since not everybody is able to do that. So I'm really blessed and thankful for that.
Cool, good. Again, audience, I specifically like our students to tell us what and how they use the scholarship, so you see where your donations work, how they work, and why we ask for donations. So while we're having this conversation, just hit that donate button at the bottom of your screen. Earlier, you mentioned your 2 brothers.
Yes.
And autism. I would like you to share with the audience the program that you started in high school and where that's led you so far.
So when I was 15 years old, I began a nonprofit organization called For Autism Against Bullying. And I began this organization because I noticed that there's a deficit with the autistic community. They go through bullying, and that the world was made for people without autism, of course, since it's not the majority. And I'm really happy I made it, and it's brought me a lot of opportunities. I've gotten to meet different types of people, and I noticed that the children I talk to about autism, they don't really understand what that means. So I actually created a book recently. Within the last 2 years, I made a children's book that I've been working on.
Oh, cool.
Yes, and I'm using this as a tool in order to teach the children what autism is in a more, condensed way.
In a way they can understand. It's yeah. Okay. So what age group is the book geared towards?
So the age group is geared towards ages 9 to 12.
Okay, cool. How far are you in the process?
So the book is actually completed, and I'm in the works of a publishing process. So if anybody has any advice for that, I'm very, very open to that.
Oh, cool. Okay, and we'll ask the audience again if anybody is in the publishing business or knows how to direct Tyra into, her next steps to get her book published. I think this is a really, really important area, and to educate young people, like she says, it was born out of trying to address bullyism of autistic students, right?
Right, and I really appreciate the people offering me advice, because I'm reading some of them, and it's wonderful advice.
Oh, cool. I'm not able to see it right now. Okay, cool. So we'll continue our conversation. Is there a unique or memorable situation you've been through that you feel is worth sharing with our audience today?
Okay, so kind of a funny story. Well, okay, my last year, in my sophomore year, I had an intimidating microbiology professor, and he taught very quickly, and he didn't like to be asked questions. So maybe the second week of class, my assigned microscope for the class, it wasn't focusing on the bacteria slide that we were supposed to be analyzing for the assignment. So I cleaned it, and it was still blurry. So I raised my hand and told the professor the microscope was broken, and he said so seriously in front of everybody, "If I come over there and the microscope works, you're getting an F on the assignment."
Oh, okay. Intimidating.
So I just started panicking, and I cleaned the microscope 5 times, and I just decided, okay, I need help. So I raised my hand and told him it wasn't working. And so he checked it out, and he came over there so grumpy, and he noticed it was broken. So then I'm so proud of myself and happy, I'm trying to hide my smile, and I say, "Since it works, can I have an A?"
What was his response?
He just laughed at me, and he just got me another microscope. And I feel like since that moment, I really learned that you have to have confidence in yourself and speak up. And ever since, I've fearlessly asked professors questions when I don't understand, and have been unapologetic about genuinely needing help, because there's nothing wrong with needing help.
You know what? Absolutely. I couldn't have asked for a more positive and inspirational lesson at this point in our conversation. Hopefully, high schoolers, if we have any high school students and freshmen heading off to college, will be inspired by your boost of confidence. Sometimes when you're in a new environment, it's difficult for you to speak up. But things like these will empower somebody else. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
That was a very positive note for us to end our conversation. Your mom is your mom around?
No, my mom is not around. She is so shy.
Tyra's mom, Donna Farley, is as proud of her as we are. And so we want to congratulate you and your mom for so far for how it's been going. Thank you for sharing and for being open about your feelings and open to accepting suggestions and for spending time with us this Saturday afternoon. I know it's not easy sometimes to share when we're having challenges. And I saw where somebody said in the comments. Communicate, no matter what the situation and platform. Share, and request feedback, which is what you're doing. That's Jennifer's comment in the chat box. So again, thank you so much for being here this afternoon, and for sharing what's been going on in your life, how you've been dealing with, your last year, and continued success. I know you will continue. And I hope somebody has some help for you in the publishing area, because I'm really interested in that. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
All right, thank you too. Bye.
Bye. Well, while I wait for Michaela, our third scholarship recipient, who will be, here's Michaela. Hi, Michaela.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you for asking. Michaela, you got your scholarship in 2019, right?
Yes.
So tell us what about your college experience so far?
Well, I am currently a freshman at Dartmouth College, which is a private Ivy university. I plan on majoring in government, specifically in international relations, and minoring in women's gender and sexuality studies. I am a freshman representative of Buddha, which stands for Black Underground Theater and Arts, and I'm a member of the college cheerleading team. Currently, I have a 3.0 GPA, and I'm wrapping up my spring term online.
Oh, cool. You hit the ground running, young lady. You're involved in a few extracurricular activities already in your first year. Good for you. For those who do not know, tell us exactly where Dartmouth is.
Well, Dartmouth is in the New England area, specifically in the beautiful state of New Hampshire.
Oh, cool. Before you went to college, did you have any experience in the winter? Have you adjusted to being a sunny South Florida girl to the harsh colds of the Northeast?
I had never experienced a winter like that. I was used to 50 degrees and a slight breeze, but the Northeast is brutal. Once you've walked in 7-degree weather at 8 a.m., you learn to layer very quickly. I wanted to take advantage of the new environment that I was in, so I attempted to go skiing once. It was a lot harder than you think it might be, but since then I've just been trying to invest in a heated blanket because I know I will need it as soon as I get back to campus.
Okay, cool. Okay, so tell us what's been happening now that you're back home. And, we're dealing with this pandemic, COVID-19, shelter at home, quarantine, social distancing, all of that.
It's a lot. This past month has been difficult. Transitioning to online classes has been a challenging experience. Isolation has been exhausting, and often I worry about my less fortunate and international friends. Nevertheless, abruptly being sent home has allowed me to spend so much more time with my mom, which I absolutely adore. I miss her so much. And I've been able to also catch up on all the sleep that I missed on campus and dedicate a lot of time to furthering my creative endeavors. I've been painting nonstop, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity.
Well, I admire hearing your concern for the others. You talked about your international friends, because this is global. You are correct. And the less fortunate among us who might not be able and to have the resources to deal with it the way we can. But you also have a silver lining, because you get to spend more time with your mom and spending time developing your artistic skills. I didn't miss that, because J Wolf does a silent auction. And as one of our scholarship fundraisers, it would be great to have a piece from one of our recipients in our next silent auction. So you may want to think.
I would love to. I would be so honored to participate in that. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, awesome. We can get that first donation from a scholarship recipient. Great. Tell me how, as the J Wolf Scholarship made a difference. Can you talk about its impact on you?
Absolutely. Being awarded the scholarship was an honor. My college recently removed their bookstore from the campus. So my financial aid wasn't able to cover the cost of books. And as we all know, books can be extremely expensive.
Yes.
Being awarded this scholarship was an absolute blessing because I was able to purchase the books and the materials that I needed without having to inconvenience my family.
Oh, great. We like to hear that positive feedback, that positive reinforcement of why JWolf members are passionate about providing scholarships to you, people like you, deserving young women. So thank you for sharing that. Are you able to plan for the fall semester? Has Dartmouth showed how school is going to work next school year? Do you have any idea?
The upcoming school year seems uncertain. My school does want students to return in the fall, but right now they're deliberating on who can return and how we're going to progress considering the current pandemic. I look forward to hopefully returning in the fall, but whether I'm studying in my room here or back in chilly New Hampshire, I want to continue with my plan to get my bachelor's degree and then hopefully continue on to law school, whether that be Columbia, Yale, or Georgetown.
Okay. That's music to quite a few of our JWolf members' ears. We have quite a few attorneys in our membership, and I know I especially our favorite mentor, Miss Hillary, must be chomping at the bit to hear you say you're going to law school. Do you know what area of law you'll concentrate in?
I'm not entirely sure, but I would love to work with a firm that focuses on combating crimes against women, like sex and human trafficking.
Oh,
That's
cool.
something I'm really passionate about considering my major as well.
Okay, cool. That's interesting. And I'm sure there are people on our forum today who may have some information, advice, who you can tap into. You know, our organization does do mentoring, so you can also always tap for that resource.
I love it.
Finally, Michaela, share with us one of your most memorable experiences since going off to New Hampshire and college life.
Well, one of my most memorable moments of my freshman year at Dartmouth was the legendary football game against Princeton at the Yankee Stadium. The game was in commemoration of our school's 250th anniversary, which just happened to be my freshman year. And because I had made the cheerleading team, I was able to accompany the football team and the cheerleaders to cheer at the Yankee Stadium. I was so excited, I didn't even notice that my toes were literally freezing in 20-degree weather. But it was amazing. I loved it. We ended up winning 27-10, so it was a great victory for Dartmouth.
And like you said, you didn't even realize how cold it was. That was the adrenaline rush.
No idea. When they told me to wear double socks, I should have listened.
Oh, you did not? Oh, wow. I can just imagine. I've spent a couple of those cold winters in Canada, so I know exactly what you mean. Well, this wraps up our conversation. Michaela, do you have any departing words for our audience?
Well, I would just like to thank JWolf for allowing me this opportunity to not only further my academic endeavors with financial security, but also offer me this beautiful community. I adore every woman that is a part of this organization, and I just pray that everyone is staying safe and being gentle with one another in such trying times. And thank you once again for having me.
Thank you for that. It increases our joy knowing that in our way we contribute to the future of the next generation of powerful women. Thank you for sharing this your first year with us this afternoon. As we close the conversation, thank you for sharing your highs of your football game and some of the lows of dealing with COVID. It seems your experiences were you had an interesting year. Remember, our members will continue to build our mentee-mentor relationships with you as long as you need. And to our audience, these conversations are intended to give you some insight or a snapshot of the young women your donations are invested in. Yes, the scholarship contributions are an investment in the next generation of influencers, and social media is new to the influencers game, but powerful women have always been the original influencers. Please continue to use the donate button at the bottom of your screen. Thank you so much. Stay safe, social distancing, observe all the guidelines, and hopefully we'll all get through this better on the other side. Thank you and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, viewers, we are just coming to the end of part 1 of this conference, and wow, enlightening, enriching, educational. Those are the words that pop out for me. But guess what? Part 2 is going to be energizing. Yes, grab your drink, because we're getting ready right now to have DJ Jazzy T. And like I said before, DJ Jazzy T is from Renaissance Disco out of Jamaica. You hear me? So get ready, get ready, get ready. And hello, Jazzy T.
How you doing?
I'm getting ready, and before you get started, I just want to shout out, because me getting ready to go dance. So I just want to shout out and say a big thank you for all that attended today's conference. Thank you for making the time. Thanks to those of you who have started to donate. The donations are coming in and we thank you. You see where your money is going. You see how impactful we are with giving these students a scholarship.